So Aldelo Express Inventory Module and how it gives you a competitive advantage in sales. All right, the two fastest ways to increase profits for a restaurant, number one is labor cost. They can affect their profits quicker with labor cost and food and liquor costs than they will any other aspect of their business. They can make those instant adjustments and instant changes that will then allow them to make that additional profit. So today, we're going to talk about the food and liquor cost. In other programs and other presentations, I have talked about labor cost and how vital it is for the restaurant owner and manager to be aware of both of these. Both of these things are critical to them. So what do restaurant owners want? Well, they want simplicity. They want something that's simple, easy to use, not complicated, something that's easy to learn, easy to set up, those type of things. They're looking for accuracy. They want this to be good information, good solid numbers. They're looking for some consistency. They want to know when they turn it on, it works. They want to know when their fryer is turned on, it's going to heat up. They want their electricity to come on. They want their POS system to work. They don't want to have to think about it. They're interested in profitability, meaning that they want to have a system that will help them manage and maintain and increase profits. And then finally, they want a return on investment. So let's break this down a little bit. In the simplicity area, they're looking for easy to set up, something that is not complex, doesn't take a lot of hours to set up. They want it to be one and done. They want something that's easy to learn. They want something easy to teach so they can then learn it themselves and teach it to a manager or teach it to an employee who can then assist them with the inventory aspect. They want it to be easy to use, easy to maintain, easy to keep going. The top reason that restaurant owners stop using the inventory module is right here. If it's not easy to set up, easy to learn, teach, if it's not easy to use, this is where they will then give up on it. So first and foremost, it has to be simple. Then accuracy. The orders have to be accurate going back. The reports have to be accurate. Inventory has to be accurate. Therefore, they can do their projections. They need accuracy in a restaurant point of sale system, and specifically in a inventory module. Then it's consistency. When they turn it on, it works. They want to know that it's going to be consistent and always going to be there. They want to know that their orders are being processed properly. And then as far as POS, they want to make sure that the payments are being processed consistently, and they just don't want any headaches. Then the next thing is profitability. They want actionable data. They want data they can take and use to make a decision. They want to increase turns of their restaurant or increase sales. Increase turns means table turns for a fine dine restaurant. Increase sales is more applicable to a quick service, but they want to increase sales. And then they want to increase profits. Those actually are two different things. You can increase sales and thereby and still not increase profits. So those two are not necessarily tied together. And then finally, they want to increase the bottom line, which means control as many expenses as they can. Their point of sale system can help with that if it's done right. And then finally, they want a return on investment. They're business people. They understand investments. They made an investment when they opened their restaurant. Every day they open that door, every day they turn that key one more time, that's another investment that they've committed to for that day. They understand investments. They need to understand that they should expect a certain return on that investment. With regard to inventory, they may or may not understand about lost product equals lost profits. Sometimes they just don't match those two up where they should. They go, oh, well, I guess we just didn't do so well today. No, you lost money on that. If you lost a case of chicken, you lost money on that. So not only did you lose raw product and it went out the back door, you lost the sales from the sale of that product. So it's not just the cost of the product that went out the door, it's the lost revenue from that product as well. So why Aldelo Express Inventory? It is simple. It is accurate. It does work when you turn it on. It will increase profitability of the restaurant, and it has a serious return on investment, particularly because it's included with the Aldelo Express product. So let's take a look at other systems. They cost extra in other POS systems. I checked on one of our top competitors, and their restaurant inventory is $149 a month. Now they have an inventory that comes with their system, but it's very basic, does not do recipes, ingredients, does not do the batch recipes like we do. In order to get that, you have to go third party, and it's $149 a month. Others are similar, but do run higher. So I'm going to take 149 as more the average, but some of our competitors go a lot higher than that. Don't be letting your customer get fooled by the free trial that some offer or the base module that's included. Look into it and let them know that these retail systems don't work in restaurants. That's just not a good fit. So why Aldelo Express Inventory? Salespeople are hesitant to bring up inventory modules. So this is something, if you do it, if you bring up an inventory question or you bring up the inventory module, then you're taking the lead in that sale, and you're going to dictate the pace as well as what your competitor is going to have to offer. So if you start talking about an inventory module that's included with Aldelo Express, you are now going to force that other company to bring out their inventory module. This allows you to take the lead by bringing this up. And you're going to force that other salesperson and that other company out of their comfort zone. That is how you take control of a sale. So here are some questions to ask to bring up inventory. Get a discussion started. So what are your food cost goals? We've talked about food costs here before and about how you need to be in a restaurant that has quick service. You're going to be slightly higher. You're going to be in the 38 to 40% food cost range. If you're in a fine dine, you're going to be a little bit less. It's going to be in the low 30s. If you're in a bar and you're doing bar inventory, your liquor is going to be in the teens, high teens is a good goal. And beer will be in the low 20s. So you need to have these numbers in your back pocket, ready to discuss and to know if what the answer you're getting from that restaurant owner is actually in the realm of possibility. They may be just feeding you standard answers in order to try to answer your question. So what are the food cost goals of the restaurant? And then how are you doing compared to those goals? Let's see how accurate they're being. If they're being honest with you, they probably won't be meeting their goals unless they have a really good inventory program already in place. These questions will bring those out. So the next one would be, how often do you count your proteins? Generally, in a quick service environment, they're going to count those daily. That your meats and cheeses are counted daily and everything else weekly. In a more of a fine dine restaurant, they may count those proteins weekly and everything else monthly. Then you're going to find out how often do they count the rest of their inventory. And if they have a bar, you're going to need to dig in a little bit deeper. Do they count it every day? Do they count it every shift? Or do they count it every week? And you hope they count it weekly. Bars are really a high theft area, extremely high theft, in fact. If they're having a problem with a bartender stealing, and they're seeing a variance in the inventory, they're going to count that inventory at the end of every shift. So at the end of the shift, they'll count the beginning of the shift, and then again at the end of the shift. And they will take those inventory counts by shift to try to identify the problem or eliminate it. Because whether it's food, liquor, beer, wine, whatever inventory they have, the more often they count it, the more under control it is. So if they're having problems with missing product, encourage your customer to count the inventory more often, and they will identify when and where the problem is. So another question to ask is, do they use a spreadsheet or an inventory app? And if you're using an app, well, what's the cost? Does it have mobile entry of the counts? Do they count the device on or count the inventory on the device? And just how easy it is to use. Now, we are focused on small to medium independent restaurants. So I'll let you think about it just for a minute. Do you have, what is the #1 inventory program for small to medium independent restaurants? And the answer is Excel spreadsheets. You can find any number of sample Excel spreadsheets, or numbers if you're an Apple person, but the basic Excel spreadsheet is the #1 inventory product out there for that small to medium independent restaurant. Chains, it's a whole other issue. We're not dealing with that. We're staying focused on who we do business with. So Excel being the #1, because it's simple, it's accurate, it's consistent, it's profitable, and it helps with the ROI. It doesn't cost that much to do it with Excel. So that's the #1. And when you go into a sale or into a customer now existing, be expecting them to have that as one of their top answers. So you're going to ask them, how much time per week do you spend on data entry? Because in an Excel spreadsheet, the biggest bulk of the problem is going to be entering in all the counts. They're going to have a count sheet. They're going to go count it. They're going to come back and they're going to enter the data. And then they'll run their reports based upon that. It takes a lot of effort to do that. And then do they import the sales from the POS? Most likely not. That's not an easy thing to do, even though all of our reports in Aldelo Express can be exported to a CSV format, which then allows for an import into other programs. So you need to ask them, are they importing that sales data? It's not easy. So what I want you to do is how you handle other competitors is you're going to force them out of their comfort zone. What I found, as I mentioned earlier, were some ranges in inventory. I found them as low as 99 and upwards of 199 per month. Now that's your module, if you will, applications or apps that if you're not dealing with Excel, they're probably going to be paying anywhere from 100 to 200 a month for the inventory modules. So either way, you have the advantage. The advantage being that if you're going up against Excel, it's going to be how much time for the data entry. Are they getting accurate sales data into the spreadsheet? If they're using an app, well, how easy is that app to use? And does it import from the POS? And how much does it cost per month? Is it worth the price? Is my point. So in handling other competitors, I want you to force them out of their comfort zone. And by doing that, you're going to then uncover their cost. Most of those programs or modules are going to be anywhere from $100 to $200 a month in additional charges. So if you're dealing and competing against Excel, then you're going to have to go in with the attitude of how much time does data entry take? Do they interface with the point of sale? And do they import those sales data? If they are using an app, then you're going to obviously attack the cost of that app. And again, does it import from the POS? So there are some advantages that Aldelo Express has either way. whether it's an Excel spreadsheet or an app. So now let's take a look at 5 reasons that a restaurant needs the Aldelo Express Inventory Module. Number 5, it's ease of use. It's simple to set up, very easy to do. It almost is, they don't need any instructions. If they understand their current way of doing inventory, if they understand restaurant inventory, it's very logical to set up the groups, the locations, the vendors, the units of measure, and inventories and recipes. It's really logical, and just follow the screen. It's simple to use and easy to maintain and easy to teach others to use so they can assist with that. So the number 5 reason is ease of use. And this is where we stand out. This program is such an easy program. I can see a restaurant owner actually using this for long term, and it being the only inventory program they ever need. This is good enough and exceeds their basic needs. Number 4 is the integration to point of sale. This is more of a key aspect than people give it credit for. There's no manual entry in sales data. It takes care of that in its instant reduction to the inventory on hand. You sell an item, and it instantly deducts from the on-hand inventory. It's up to the second with regard to accuracy. This integration to POS saves hours per week in data entry and balancing and getting the inventory counts correct. And then it dramatically increases the accuracy of the overall program. So don't discount the need for integration to the point of sale. It's actually critical to the accuracy and the usage of the program. Number 3, mobile counting. Take the iPad with you. Pick up the iPad and go count your inventory. What traditionally happens is they have to print out a count sheet. Then they go count it. Then they come back and they enter it. And then at that time, they see, oh, wow, I've got a shortage here. If they take the iPad with them, it's going to show on the iPad what the expected count is. Then they can count that inventory, see if there's a discrepancy, and instantly address it. That is, look for that other case that's missing. Look for the other product. Oh yeah, I remember it's over here now. I moved it. So taking the iPad with you to count drastically saves a lot of hours per week. The data is instantly updated and shortages are immediately shown. So the number 2 reason is inventory module is included with the system. Full module is included with the Aldelo Express. There's no cost for upgrades. There's no add-on cost, and there's no additional modules to buy. This is not a trial module. It's not a trial period. It is the full module, so you don't have to get used to it or get into it and discover, oh, I have to buy another piece of it. No, it's in total inclusive, included with the Aldelo Express. And then the number 1 reason is a fast return on investment. The National Restaurant Association has said for years that restaurants who properly use an inventory program save an average of 2% of sales. And that comes from a multitude of reasons why. Well, 2% of our customer base is anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million in sales, or that's our sweet spot. And they're the numbers. They're significant. And that gives you a very fast return on investment. Even from day 1, you're making money with the Aldelo Express inventory module. The savings, they come from reduced waste, reduced theft. Now, theft is not going to be somebody stealing a chicken sandwich. It's going to be somebody stealing a case of chicken. So by counting the inventory on a regular basis, it's going to reduce the theft in that restaurant. It's going to help with menu costing, in that when you build a recipe, it gives you the cost of that recipe on screen. And then you can then adjust the pricing if needed. It's also going to give greater attention to details. You're going to be paying attention to the recipe, ingredients, the portion size. You're going to be menu costing and the cost of the raw product. You're going to get a lot of profit just because you're paying attention to it, just because you're paying attention to the inventory. All right, so I'm going to open it now. I've been watching a little bit of the chat going on. Kelly, what do we have in there?
Russ has made a statement saying that they used a tablet with their Excel sheet on it and it did inventory and there's no need to print out a sheet. So that was some input that was available. I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question, Douglas. Are you asking do we have an inventory for liquor bottle? And are you asking how it's measured?
Okay, I got this one. Yeah, we have an inventory. You can use the Aldelo Express module for inventory of a bar. And you're going to then, if you want to use a scale, you're going to have to do some conversions. But the scale does not interface to the point of sale. So you could have a little a small scale. It doesn't even need to be 15 pounds. It can be a really small scale and measure the data just knowing how much a shot weighs. If you're going to get into that level of inventory, we actually have a third party that will do that. And they do measure by weight. They also have we have a vendor who does it by scanning the bottle with a camera, takes a picture of the bottle, and it knows that bottle from that vendor and how much liquor is in it. And based upon where the liquor is on the bottle, it'll tell you how much is inventory there. So if you want to get that detailed, there are third-party apps that will do that. Our basic app is going to be how many shots are in the bottle, and you need to measure it that way. Now, Russ, on that question or a statement about using a tablet with the Excel sheet, yep, if you do it that way, you can take that tablet out into the restaurant and do that. There's still going to be the advantage we have with the integration with the point of sale. So even if you're doing it with the tablet, there's still the integration. And if you're doing the integration, you know very well it's not that easy to set up. It can be difficult to export a CSV and then import that CSV and hope that the lines all match up. I've always had a problem doing that.
That was it for the chat.
Okay, any other questions? Anybody want to unmute themselves and ask me questions direct?
Looks like there's another one. If you weigh liquor bottles, you must take into account empty bottle weight, weight of pourer, and specific gravity weight. For example, of fluid 1 ounce of vodka weighs in at 0.90.
Yep. I'm not sure how different one liquor weighs to another. There will be some discrepancy there based upon the thickness of the liquor. And yes, you do have to set up where you weigh an empty bottle and then you pour a shot and you weigh what's left. So there are some ways to set it up. It is a little trickier than others. And right, Russ, liqueur is a heavier alcohol by weight. So if you're going to get into the weight aspect, I think I'd look at the third-party app we have in the store and let them do it. Looks like there's a lot of people here who are weighing liquor.
Yeah, yeah. That area did do well in the pandemic. Liquor is heavier than your alcohols. Kahlua weighs 1.20 for 1 fluid ounce, which is actually a good point.
Yeah. So they're all different. The thing about selling inventory is that I want you to take the lead. I want you to be the one bringing it up. I don't want the customer having to bring it up. And I certainly don't want the competitor bringing it up. I want you guys to bring up inventory and start asking those questions. How do you do your inventory now? How do you count it weekly, monthly? What do you do? And get them talking about inventory so that they are then at least curious about what you're going to bring to the table in your solution. You take the advantage by taking the initiative. You bring it up first, and it puts your competitor in a bad situation where they have to catch up. You don't want to be playing catch up to them. You want to take the lead and be successful with that. You will be if you do it that way.
There was another one with regards to a new Aldelo Pay merchant. Is Aldelo support able to create a recipe for liquor cocktails, such as Blue Motorcycle or Long Island iced tea?
I don't want to jump out and answer that in a positive, because we don't do recipes. We do the menus. So Gary, I'm going to say we just do the recipe. I'm sorry, we do the menus and not the recipe. But once you do that, I would charge it. I would certainly charge for it. If you remember when we talked about the setup initially, I said I wouldn't do recipes. I would train somebody to do recipes. I'd watch them do recipes, and then I'd let them do the recipe. And even at that, I still charge. You don't want to get into that much detail into setting it up. Reason not only is it's going to be a time suck, they will always call you in the future expecting you to do it for free. And we don't ever encourage you to do this for free. Inventory is a booger as far as taking time to do it if you're going to do it. And it takes you out of the sales field. So yes, it is easy. It's easy to teach, easy to learn, but it still takes time to enter those recipes in. So don't get sucked up into that. Yeah.
So how do they?
That when a case of Bud comes in to the main fridge, does that tell how many cases should be in the fridge? Yes. You have received it into inventory. So when you receive the invoice and you receive the product, then that does add to the overall inventory of that item. So yes, it would then show how many cases should be in the fridge. And if you remember also, we have the ability to transfer from the main cooler to the bar. In that case, you would take a case of Bud and transfer it from the cooler to the bar, and it would then system would tell you how many cases are left in the cooler and how many cases are at the bar.
Looks like the chat's slowing down.
Not only we don't have an expiration on or an alert on the expiration date. Generally, restaurants will have a tag and it's colored. So kind of like a Post-it note, but they stick a tag on all their product to note when this product is going to go out of stock or out of date, and they use that product first. So no, we do not have an alert on a expiration date. Good question.
Can you enter 10 cases and will it automatically know that it is 240 bottles?
Absolutely. And the reason being is you buy it by the case and you inventory it by the bottle. So when you receive a case, it will then automatically convert that to your count volume, or count quantity, which is your 240 bottles. So yes, it will do that. That is where people fall down, is they get behind. And if you get behind with your invoices and entering them into the system, you're going to lose product. And you're losing product, you're losing profit. It's just a 1-to-1 ratio. In fact, it's probably a 1-to-2 or more ratio. Remember, if you lose a case of chicken that costs you $50, right, you not only lost the $50, but you lost the $120 that you would have made from that $50 box of chicken. So it's not just the raw product you're losing the sales from that as well. It's a big hit to a restaurant when they lose something like that. So yeah, they have to be almost a religious zealot and keep up with it.
Tell me if I'm misinterpreting this question, but on keg, will it tell how many 16-ounce cups are in that keg?
You enter in when your units of measure, when you have a 16-ounce cup, that's what you're going to put in there. 16-ounce cups are a unit of measure, and then keg is also a unit measure. So yes, you do buy it by the keg, and you use it by the 16-ounce cup. So yes, Doug, you will have to know how many 16-ounce cups are in that keg, and the keg is a certain amount of gallons of beer. So you can convert that and set that up. But yeah, that's exactly how it works. Buy it by the keg, sell it by the ounce. So the 16-ounce.
Okay.
Now, Russ, you're asking a good question. Can a keg be set up for pints and pitchers? It's going to be set up for all that. So when you set up your unit of measure, you're going to set up the 16-ounce cup, the pints, the pitchers. You're going to set all that up as a unit of measure. When you set the recipe up, you're going to do the same thing. You'll need to know that how many ounces are in a pitcher and how many pitchers are in a keg. So you'll have that ratio set up, that yield. The same thing for pints. You'll need to have how many pints are in a keg and have that set up. And as you're serving from that keg, you're going to be taking out so many cups, so many pints, so many pitchers, and then the software will then tell you how many ounces are left in that keg. Yeah, fake scallops, all the same shape, had 4 restaurants that had that. Yeah, that happens. And it's something the receiver has to be aware of. The vendors, they're trying to get rid of product too, and they will substitute. One of my sons is one of the cooks at a local barbecue place, and they ordered their Texas toast, which usually is a 6-inch piece, and what they received were like 3 inches. And he had to be able to put a half a pound of pork on a 3-inch piece of garlic toast. It should have gone to like an Italian restaurant, but they went to their barbecue restaurant. It was a mess, and it was all messed up because the receiving clerk received that product and they did not have a choice. They did not have the right size product to serve. So it's a mess, and it's real. It's a real mess, and it's every day that those receiving clerks have to be able to stay on top of it. Yeah, you can, however you're going to measure it, Barry, you can measure by visual. You can have a measuring stick. They make these measuring sticks that conform to a bottle that will tell you how many shots are left in there. There's that way to do it. Most accurate I've ever seen is weighing them, but that's the most difficult to set up. But if the restaurant's willing to do that, they can get a small scale that will measure 5 pounds or less down to the ounce or the gram and weigh it that way. It's more work set up. Boy, it's accurate.
Another question. They have issues with the same product coming from 3 or more different vendors. How can you put more than one vendor for one inventory item?
All right. In the video that we showed of how to place an order for a reorder of product, I showed where you touch the price and all previous vendors then pop up so that you can see where you've purchased before. At that point, you can enter a new vendor or choose from an existing previous vendor. You can order that way. You guys did not disappoint. I think we covered some good ground today. I think we covered how to sell it. I want you guys to take the initiative. I want you to be the one who takes the lead on this. Make that competitor get uncomfortable and having to show their product. You need to go back and with my videos that we put up the first 2, go back and look at those. Get your inventory and your demo system set up. Lex and Rodney will help you and train you and answer questions on how to do that and get you on the right path to setting up your own demo. Then practice with it. Practice by yourself, practice with your family, practice on whomever. But get good at your inventory so that you can show how easy it is, how easy to use, and use that as a absolute competitive advantage. All right, guys.
There are just a couple more last minute
Okay.
ones. One is from a new Aldelo referral partner. So welcome, Christian. But which is the most important function of Aldelo and which makes the job easier for business? I am a novice in Aldelo and I apologize if the question's out of place.
Not out of place at all. I departmentalize Aldelo Express. When I do a presentation, I will tailor that presentation to that end user. So you're asking what the most important function of Aldelo. I'm going to say it depends on the end user. So I've got a lot of small little pieces of a demo that I will pull out and create a custom demo just for that individual based upon their needs. So the important function changes based upon the needs of that individual restaurant. However, I will say that the best way to find out the most important functions is to watch that series of videos we have on top five reasons, and then fill in the blank. We've got probably 20, 25 videos that will then focus in on a specific module and why that module is important and how to set you up to have the right answers when it comes the time. I hope that helps a little bit, but the answer is it depends on the needs of that end user, and then you pull the product and pull the aspect of that demo that you need. And know those type of questions are what this training is for, is so you can ask and learn.